How safe would you feel if the only person who could protect you was the one you needed protection from? They say safety is just an illusion. But for Sienna Vale, it used to feel real. Flashing cameras, red carpets, fans chanting her name. She thought fame meant she'd be untouchable. But when the letters started coming, everything changed. It began with a single envelope. No return addressed. Just her name, written in neat, deliberate ink. Inside, a photo of her taken from across the street. A message on the back, "You shouldn't have done that movie." At first, she laughed. Some troll, she thought. Another jealous critic. But then came the second letter, and the third. Then the one with the photo of her sleeping, inside her own home. That's when the fear started to settle in. Slow, quiet, suffocating. Her agent insisted on security. Just until it blows over. That's when Ethan Cross entered her life. He wasn't like the others she'd met. No charm, no flattery, no smiles meant to impress. Just steady eyes, calm voice, military posture. He didn't even seem to care who she was. And somehow, that made her trust him. From the first day, Ethan moved with precision. He checked doors, windows, corners, like a man scanning for ghosts only he could see. His presence filled every room, solid and quiet. He said little, but when he did, it carried weight. Locks can slow people down, he told her, but people like this don't stop for locks. That night, Sienna slept for the first time in weeks. And when she woke, he was already standing outside her door, coffee in hand. Days turned into weeks. The threats kept coming, emails now, phone calls at midnight, a brick through her window with a note attached, "You can't hide from me." But each time, Ethan was there first. He handled it all, the police, the press, even her friends who wanted to visit. "It's safer if I control the contact list," he told her. "It's safer if you let me drive. It's safer if you stay home." And she believed him. Because with him, she did feel safe. He started learning her habits, what she ate, how she slept, the sound of her breathing when she was nervous. He'd remind her to eat when she forgot. He'd stand just close enough to block the cameras when she left her car. Sometimes, when she caught his reflection in a window, she realized he was watching her even when she didn't know it. And somehow, that was comforting. At first. One night, after another call from a blocked number, she broke down. He found her on the floor, shaking, holding her phone. Without a word, Ethan knelt beside her, wrapped his arms around her, and whispered, "You're safe now. I'm here. No one will ever hurt you again." She didn't notice how tightly he held her. She didn't see the small smile at the corner of his mouth. The next morning, her manager couldn't reach her. Her best friend said Ethan had canceled lunch, for security reasons. When she asked Ethan why, he said, "People can be careless. I can't protect you if others get in the way." And again, she believed him. The world outside her walls grew smaller. Calls unanswered, meetings missed, scripts piling up. But Ethan made it feel okay. He told her the world was dangerous, that she didn't need anyone but him. At night, when the city slept, she'd sometimes find him awake, sitting in the dark, eyes on the monitors showing every room, every hallway, every door. Watching. Always watching. And though something deep inside whispered that this wasn't normal, she silenced that voice. Weeks passed. The stalker hadn't been caught, but the messages slowed. Ethan said that meant he was scaring them off. She didn't question how he knew. Then, one evening, he handed her a new phone. "Untraceable," he said. "Only I have the number." He took her old one and crushed it under his boot. For a second, she thought she saw something, satisfaction, flicker across his face. It was around then that she began to notice small things. The front gate alarm triggering in the middle of the night. The door left open when it shouldn't be. A photo on her kitchen counter of her from that same morning, taken from inside the house. Each time she panicked, Ethan was already there, calm and ready, as if he'd been waiting. "See," he'd say. "This is why you can't trust anyone else." Her pulse slowed when he spoke. His voice had that effect. Slow, measured, absolute. It made her forget to question. It made her forget she was supposed to be in control. Days turned into a blurred. Morning coffee. Locked doors. A man's shadow following her through every room. Ethan's presence was constant, like gravity. Always near, always calm. And at first, she told herself that was good. Safety needed consistency. But lately, that consistency had started to feel like something else. She couldn't make a move without him knowing. A trip to the balcony. He was there. A phone call in another room. He was there. A walk to clear her head. He'd appear before she reached the gate. "Don't go outside alone," he said. "I saw a car parked too long down the street." "How long?" she asked. "Long enough." That was all he said. And somehow, that was enough to make her stay inside. He started choosing her clothes. Dark colors make you harder to spot. He started reading her messages. Some of these people could be working for whoever's threatening you. And when she asked for privacy, he said softly, "Privacy gets people killed." The words hung in the air like smoke. One night, while Ethan was asleep on the couch outside her bedroom, Sienna crept into his office, a small, windowless room filled with monitors, wires, and files. The screen showed every inch of her house, bedrooms, hallways, the shower. And one screen was frozen on a still image, her face, sleeping. Her breath caught. Something in her chest turned cold. She stepped back, hitting the desk, and a folder slid to the floor. Inside were photos, dozens of them, all of her. Some old, from movie sets and interviews. Others, private. Inside her home. And tucked in the back, copies of the same threatening letters she'd received. Only these versions didn't have postage stamps. She froze. Her mind started connecting dots she didn't want to see. Ethan had been the one to find most of the letters. He was always there first. He was the one who insisted on handling the evidence. He was the one who said the stalker was always one step ahead. What if that's because he was the stalker? She tried to tell herself it couldn't be true. He'd saved her, protected her, but protection and possession can look the same in the dark. That night, she said nothing. She lay in bed, still and silent, while he stood outside her door. She could feel his presence, like heat through the wood. The next morning, he was cheerful, almost too much. "I made breakfast," he said. "You've been losing weight." He smiled, but there was something in his eyes, a flicker of knowing. Had he seen her in his office? He watched her eat, watched her drink, watched her every movement, his calm voice breaking the silence. "You don't have to worry anymore. I've taken care of everything." "What do you mean?" she asked. He didn't answer. He just reached into his pocket and placed her old phone on the table, the one he'd crushed weeks ago. The screen lit up. Unbroken. "You shouldn't have gone through my things," he said quietly. The words hit her like a physical blow. Then came the knock at the door. 2 sharp raps. Ethan's head turned. His body tensed. Sienna saw her chance. While he moved to the door, she grabbed her keys and ran, barefoot, heart racing, out through the back gate. She didn't stop. Not until she reached the street. She flagged a cab, breathless. When the driver asked where she was going, she said, "Anywhere." She checked into a hotel under a fake name. For the first time in months, she was alone. No cameras. No monitors. No quiet footsteps in the hall. But freedom didn't feel like relief. It felt like exposure. Every knock on the door made her flinch, and when she turned on the TV that night, her blood went cold. There he was, on the news. Ethan Cross, decorated security specialist, saves actress Sienna Vale from deranged stalker. The story showed footage of him handing evidence to the police, the same letters she'd found in his office. He'd turned his own crimes into proof of his heroism. And now the world believed he'd saved her. Reporters swarmed the hotel the next morning. Somehow, they knew she was there. When she tried to leave, a crowd gathered, flashes, microphones, voices calling her name. That night, she packed her bags. But when she went to the lobby, the clerk handed her an envelope. "For you, Ms. Vale," he said. No return addressed. Just her name, written in neat, deliberate ink. Inside, one sentence, "You look even more beautiful when you're scared." And underneath, his signature. Ethan Cross. Her hands shook. Her breath came fast. She thought about going to the police. But how could she? He'd already made himself look like the hero. If she spoke, she'd sound ungrateful, paranoid, crazy. And maybe that was the plan all along. The next day, her manager called, carefully, nervously. "He says he wants to apologize," he told her. "He says he went too far. He just wants closure." Closure. That word felt wrong. But fear has a way of twisting what feels wrong into what feels necessary. So she agreed to meet him, in public, a quiet cafe near the ocean. When he arrived, he looked almost ordinary. Jeans. A simple jacket. Not the silent shadow from her home. Just a man. Come. Almost kind. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said softly. "Everything I did was to protect you. Even when you didn't understand." "You scared me," she whispered. "I had to," he replied. "You wouldn't listen otherwise." He reached across the table, his hand hovering near hers. "You know what the world is like, Sienna. You've seen what they do to people like you. But me, I'd never let them touch you." Her pulse pounded. Part of her wanted to scream. Another part, the tired, frightened part, wanted to believe him again. Because believing him was easier than facing the truth. But before she could speak, he leaned closer and said, "You belong with me. You always have." That's when she saw it, the faint reflection in his sunglasses. A phone camera on the table, recording everything. And in that moment, she knew, this wasn't an apology. It was insurance. If she went to the police, he'd release the video. Twist it, make it look like she was the one who couldn't let go. He'd already taken her safety. Now he was taking her story. She left the cafe without a word. And that night, she made a decision. If she couldn't escape Ethan Cross, she'd have to outplay him. For 2 days, Sienna didn't sleep. Every sound in the dark sounded like his footsteps. Every knock on the door made her heart slam against her ribs. She replayed every moment in her head, every kind word, every warning, every time he'd said, "You're safe with me." And somewhere between exhaustion and fear, the truth began to crystallize. Every thread led back to one name, Ethan Cross. But proof meant nothing if no one believed her. He was the hero. She was the broken actress. The world had already chosen its story. So she decided to make her own ending. That evening, she called him. Her voice steady, calm. "Come over," she said. "We need to talk." He arrived within the hour, just like she knew he would. Always punctual. Always predictable. When he stepped through the door, he was smiling, the same calm smile that used to make her feel safe. "I was worried," he said softly. "You shouldn't disappear like that." "I needed time to think," she replied. "About what?" "About us." He looked almost relieved. That was when she pressed record on her phone. "I found the letters," she said. "The originals. In your office." Silenced. A flicker in his eyes. The faintest shift of his jaw. Then, calm again. "You shouldn't have gone in there," he said. "You don't understand what you saw." "Then help me," she whispered. "Help me understand." He took a slow step forward. "Sienna, you were in danger. I had to do something. You weren't listening. The police were useless. The studio didn't care. You needed me to make you see it." Her stomach turned. "You sent those threats?" He sighed, not angry, not even ashamed, just tired. "I didn't mean to scare you. I just needed to be close enough to keep you safe. I thought once you realized how dangerous the world was, you'd let me stay." The room seemed to shrink around them. He reached for her hand. She pulled back. "Ethan, that's not protection. That's control." His voice hardened. Everything I did was for you. No, she said quietly. Everything you did was for yourself. For a long second, he just stood there, eyes searching her face, looking for the fear he used to seed. But it wasn't there anymore. The distant wail of sirens grew louder outside. Ethan's head snapped toward the window. He realized too late what she'd done. The recording on her phone was still running, live-streaming to the police. Every word, every confession, captured. He backed away slowly, his composure cracking. You called them. I had to, she said. Because you never would have stopped. For a moment, he looked almost human, lost, betrayed. Then the mask slipped back into place. He straightened his shoulders, calm again, and said, Now you'll always know you were safe with me. The door burst open. Officers flooded in, guns raised, commands echoing. Ethan didn't resist. He just looked at her one last time as they pulled him away. I told you I'd never let anyone hurt you, he said. Not even me. And then he was gone. Weeks later, the city had already moved on. Headlines shifted, rumors blurred. The story became just another true crime headline. Sienna Vale returned to work, quieter, thinner, older in the eyes somehow. Her new film was about survival. The critics called her performance hauntingly real. No one realized she wasn't acting. But some nights, when she came home from set, she'd find little things moved out of place, a curtain drawn, a light left on. Nothing certain. Nothing she could prove. Until one morning, she woke to find a note on her mirror. Neat, deliberate ink. Always watching. She stood there for a long time, staring at the words, her pulse steadied. Then she picked up the note, folded it carefully, and locked it away in a drawer. Because maybe it was him. Or maybe it was someone new. Maybe safety really was just an illusion. But this time, she wasn't the same woman who'd needed saving. This time, she wasn't the prey. She was ready for whoever it was.